Well, thank you very much to our panelists for the insightful and enjoyable discussions. I'm John Tuttle. I'm Vice Chairman of the New York Stock Exchange, and on behalf of our entire team, a very, very warm welcome. Welcome back to many of you. It is my privilege to introduce our keynote speaker today, but before I do so, I do want to take a moment to thank the President for his leadership. He is a gentleman who deeply understands the importance of bringing together the public sector and the private sector to drive economic growth, to create jobs, improve lives across a country, and ultimately around the world. And we're thrilled to have you here today and to showcasing the leadership of your administration and Colombia in tackling some of the most challenging global issues as well. Born in Bogota and educated in Colombia and in the United States, Iván Duque has held numerous roles both in the public and private sectors, which contribute to his deep understanding of policymaking. He started as an author, a columnist, a professor. He then went to work at the Inter-American Development Bank and advanced policies on entrepreneurship and innovation. He served as a senator, where he advanced the country's legal framework and again promoted job creation and strong economic policies that brought together the public and private sector. And in June of 2018, he was elected to become the youngest president in modern history of Colombia. He was elected on a platform of legality, entrepreneurship, and equality. It is our treat to have him here today, but it's also our privilege to call him a friend of the New York Stock Exchange. So thank you for being with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a very, very warm welcome to His Excellency Iván Duque, the President of Colombia. Mr. President.
John, thank you very much for that very kind introduction. It's a great honor for me to be here in the New York Stock Exchange once again. 3 years ago, we were here, and we're back. And we're back not only to thank, we're back also to showcase many of the things that we have been able to accomplish together. Thank you, Anshula Kant, Managing Director and CFO of the World Bank Group. Thank you for your presentation today and your support on the Green Taxonomy. Josh King, thank you so much. David Farrell, Demian Seshower, Rick Hushel, and John Greenwood. Thank you so much for your participation in this panel. We're here joined with a great delegation of members of our government team, Minister Restrepo. We're here with Minister Mesa. We're here with Minister Correa, Maria Paula Correa, my Chief of Staff, Victor Munoz, our Director of Public Credit. And we're here today because it is actually a historical moment. Why? Because the most challenging crisis of our time is the climate crisis that we're facing. We have to take this seriously. We need to think bold. We need to act now. There's no planet B. We can't wait. And the story behind Colombia's climate action policy can become a reference model for the world. It is an honor to have distinguished friends with us today that have supported Colombia in all these efforts. Dr. Carter, Dr. Christian, thank you for being here. Dr. Bayón, President of Ecopetrol. Because Colombia is the second most biodiverse country in the world. 35% of our territory is Amazonic land. 50% of our territory is considered tropical forest. We have 52% of the world high altitude ecosystems, better known as páramos, and we have more than 900,000 square kilometers of maritime areas. We are a country that only represents 0.6% of all the world CO2 emissions, but we are one of the most threatened countries by the effects of climate change. And we decided, since day one of our administration, to embrace the right policies. And if we may put everything together into one umbrella, we call all our actions the road to zero. which means that by year 2050, we want to be a carbon neutral, nature positive country. And we have also said by 2030, we want to reduce in 51% our CO2 emissions. Now that's a declarative move. But what have we done? What can we demonstrate today? And in fact, we can say without a doubt that in just 4 years, we have been able to lead the energy transition in Latin America and the Caribbean. We're passing from barely 28 megawatts of installed capacity in non-conventional renewable energies to have by the end of this year 2,800 megawatts, which is 100 times more what we had just 4 years ago. We have demonstrated that that energy transition can also have an impact on different industries and sectors. And for example, Ecopetrol, our biggest public company, has become the #1 auto generator with non-conventional renewable energies, and is now leading the road map for green hydrogen in our country. So that's a demonstration of one achievement. But also, we have been able to fine-tune our policies for green transportation, and today we have the largest cargo and public transportation fleet run by electric vehicles, reducing emissions, but at the same time generating a social conscience of environmental protection. Hand in hand with those policies, we have also decided that we need to become a leader in protecting areas in our country. So we signed the Leaders Pledge for Nature so that in 2030, we will have 30% of our territory declared a protected area. But we're not waiting until 2030. This year, in 2022, we will make that objective a reality. And before the end of our administration, 30% of our maritime area and an inland area will be declared a protected area so that Colombia will become a leader in the road to becoming a nature-positive country. And this means that this can take place by combining all the policy instruments together and bringing also the private sector, creating a substantial and robust green carbon bond market. And the reason why this is happening in such a fast pace is because we have now hundreds of companies that want to become carbon neutral. And we decided that the way that we want this to take place was to involving all the political parties, all the public policy officials at a local and national level. And in December last year, with Minister Restrepo, with Minister Correa, Minister Mesa, and the team in the presidency, with Maria Paula, with Victor, and many others, we went to Congress and we got a unanimous approval of the Climate Action Bill, where all the sectors in Colombia contribute to that road to becoming a zero emissions country by 2050. So why is so important this visit, John, to the New York Stock Exchange? Not only that we feel proud that our flag is being showcased today, but we know that launching a green taxonomy is a milestone in our environmental policy. What kind of milestone? First, we are now the #4 country in the world to have a green taxonomy that is some sort of a DNA code where we're going to share our definitions of all the environmental policies that can be traceable, that can be evaluable, and can be demonstrated in any form in a carbon market. But this is the first time an emerging market embraces this green taxonomy. And this is the first time that we include issues like biodiversity or livestock into a green taxonomy. Water protection, land protection. And at the same time, how is it that we're increasing our energy matrix more defined in a cleaner way? We have been able so far to issue 2 green bonds in the global markets, having a greenium and a very important oversubscription. But now with this green taxonomy, investors throughout the world will know with certainty what are the policies that are being implemented in Colombia. How is it that we're protecting the rivers, the páramos, the high altitude ecosystems? How is it that we are fighting deforestation? How is it that we're protecting species? And how is it that, for example, we are expanding the mangrove lands? And how is it that we are also protecting the coral reefs? So this very important day is to say to the world that if Colombia does it, other countries must follow, including the most developed economies in the world. If all the countries that have been the higher emitters of CO2 decided to have a green taxonomy and to showcase all the policy interventions, we will certainly have a better ESG market. And we're very pleased to demonstrate that this can be done together between the public and the private sector. Almost 1/3 of the companies that are listed in the New York Stock Exchange, or even more, are committed to becoming net zero corporations. A company like Senate, part of the Ecopetrol Group, has now become a net zero corporation in Colombia. And we want to have more companies listed in our own stock exchange that are highly committed to reaching that objective. So this green taxonomy is the entrance for companies and also for fixed asset, bonds, or markets to embrace these values and making it happen. Today, Colombia feels very proud that here in New York, this green taxonomy is going to become a reference model for other emerging markets and also to the Latin American private sector. Green finance is something that is making a difference. Minister Restrepo, Cesar, the way that we have presented our green finance structure is calling all types and all sorts of investors. Having a special purpose vehicle to bring banks from the United States, multilaterals like the World Bank and the IFC, like the IDB, like CAF, are just mechanisms to bring all the actors to be active on a carbon credit market. And that kind of carbon credit markets have to be considered the best way to change illegal economies into legal economies, especially when it comes to deforestation, illegal mining, or even the growing of coca crops. People don't regularly know that in order to plant 1 hectare of coca, 2 hectares of tropical jungle are destroyed. People don't regularly know that illegal wood market becomes the #1 destructor of the Amazon in Colombia and in all the Amazonic countries. People don't regularly know that every year, because of illegal cattle production, areas are being destroyed. But if we're able to consolidate the idea that to protect, to reforest, it's a way in which we can connect resources to peasants that will prefer the legal economy as the right way of living, we can basically build the best contribution ever to stop deforestation in countries like Colombia and many others. As a government, we have launched campaigns that have been able to contain the advancements of deforestation. And we have also achieved the largest deforestation rate reduction in almost 2 decades. But there's more to be done. And the best way to do it is connecting green finance with the protection of different areas, including the planting of agroforestries, including silvopastures, and including sustainable production even of cattle. Those policies are already being embraced by Colombia. And ladies and gentlemen, today in the New York Stock Exchange, while launching this taxonomy, Colombia can say that our roadmap of becoming a net zero emitter in 2050 is aligned with becoming a nature positive country in 2022. My final message: we have to think of new ways of measuring competitiveness. For many years, competitiveness was measured by evaluating how productive was to invest $1 here or there, and also how cheap it was to produce here or there. In the world we live in, we have to include the environmental variable. How many emissions are you producing per point of GDP? If we evaluate countries this way, we will be able to tell who are the best or the worst performers. And what is interesting to say is that if we include this variable in measuring Colombia's competitiveness, we are one of the countries in Latin America and the Caribbean with the lowest amount of emissions per point of GDP. That means $1 invested in Colombia is a greener dollar than invested elsewhere. And we have decided that we want to measure our competitiveness that way. And this green taxonomy is the best mechanism to be valuable, to trace, and to demonstrate that all the sectors have a say, have an action, and have a way to be evaluated with this criteria. So we're going to ring the bell today, but this is not just the honor of ringing the bell, but ringing the bell showing that this beautiful flag, yellow, blue, and red, is the flag of the country in Latin America that has the most ambitious commitments and the most substantial results when it comes to become a net zero country and, most importantly, a nature positive country. Thank you very much.